The Galactic Council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of polished crystal, its walls displaying the flags of 847 member species. Today, those banners hung heavy with shame and fear. Ambassador Zektar of the Vorthak Empire stood at the central podium, his 6 arms trembling as he read the charges against humanity. The species known as humans, his voice echoed through the vast chamber, have committed acts of unprecedented savagery against the peaceful Kethmori colonies. We demand immediate action from this council. Murmurs rippled through the assembled delegates. The humans had only joined the Galactic Council 18 months ago, after their first faster-than-light voyage brought them to Proxima Station. Most species had dismissed them as another primitive race from a backwater world. Earth sat in an unremarkable system. Its people barely passed nuclear technology when first discovered. Ambassador Chen Wei sat in the human delegation section, her face calm, despite the accusations flying around her. She wore a simple black suit, looking almost comically small compared to the towering alien forms surrounding her. The Vorthak were 3 meters tall, with armored hide. The crystalline Zephi sparkled like living diamonds. Even the peaceful Milani stood twice human height with their graceful, elongated limbs. The evidence is clear, Zektar continued, his primary eyes focusing on Chen while his secondary eyes swept the chamber. Not conquered, not occupied. The chamber erupted in shocked gasps and angry chittering. Several delegates stood, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of outrage. The Kethmori were known throughout the galaxy as pacifists. They had never engaged in warfare, never even possessed weapons beyond mining tools. Their colonies existed solely to extract rare minerals for the greater galactic community. High Counselor Vithmar, an ancient Etherian whose translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, raised one of her 4 arms for silence. Ambassador Chen, how does humanity respond to these grave accusations? Chen stood slowly, her movements deliberate and controlled. We deny these charges completely. Humanity has not attacked any Kethmori colonies. Lies! Zektar's roar shook the chamber. We have sensor data. Ship signatures matching human vessels were detected at each attack site. May we examine this evidence? Chen asked, her voice steady. A holographic display materialized above the chamber, showing 3-dimensional reconstructions of the destroyed colonies. The images were horrific. What had once been sprawling underground cities were now smoking craters. The distinctive spiral architecture of Kethmori settlements had been reduced to twisted metal and stone. These attacks occurred over the past 6 weeks, Zektar explained. Each colony was struck without warning. The mining stations, the habitat domes, even the nursery complexes where their young were raised. Nothing was spared. Zektar, Zektar, Zektar. The display zoomed in on debris fields. Twisted metal fragments bore markings that looked distinctly human. Ship components with English text were clearly visible among the wreckage. Furthermore, Zektar continued, we have testimony from survivors. Those few who escaped describe human ships attacking with weapons of incredible destructive power, weapons that turned solid rock into glass, that boiled away atmosphere in seconds. More murmurs filled the chamber. This was troubling news. When humans had first made contact, their military capabilities had been thoroughly assessed. Earth's weapons technology was considered primitive by galactic standards. Their nuclear arsenals were impressive for a young species, but hardly threatening to established civilizations. The survivors speak of ships that moved unlike anything in our databases, Zektar pressed on. Vessels that could accelerate at rates that should have turned their crews to paste. Ships that appeared and disappeared like ghosts. Chen listened to every word without changing expression. She made no notes, asked for no clarifications. When Zektar finished his presentation, she stood again. High Counselor, we request permission to conduct our own investigation into these attacks. Absolutely not. Zektar slammed his massive fist on his podium. Humanity is the perpetrator. They cannot be trusted to investigate their own crimes. Then perhaps, Chen said quietly, the Council would benefit from understanding why humanity would allegedly commit such acts. What possible motive could we have for attacking peaceful miners? Quote, this gave the chamber pause. It was a valid question. The Kethmori posed no threat to anyone. They had no valuable territory, no strategic resources that weren't freely traded. Their colonies existed in asteroid fields and barren worlds that no other species wanted. High Counselor Vithmar's patterns shifted to deep purple, indicating serious thought. The question of motive is indeed relevant. Ambassador Zektar, why would humanity attack the Kethmori? Zektar's confidence wavered slightly. Perhaps it was a test. A demonstration of their true military capabilities. Or maybe they wanted to claim the mining rights for themselves. But Earth has shown no interest in expanding beyond their home system, pointed out Counselor Nemthai of the Aquatic Union. Their entire space fleet consists of 12 vessels, none larger than a frigate by our standards. That we know of, Zektar countered. Clearly humanity has been hiding their true strength. Chen remained silent, letting the debate swirl around her. She watched the faces and expressions of the various delegates, noting who seemed convinced by Zektar's evidence and who harbored doubts. The Etherian High Counselor finally called for order. This session will adjourn for 12 standard hours. The Council will reconvene to hear humanity's formal response and to vote on appropriate actions. As delegates began filing out, many casting suspicious glances at the human section, Chen noticed something interesting. The Vorthak delegation was meeting in hushed tones with representatives from several other species. Military species. Mostly. The kind who viewed the galaxy in terms of conquest and expansion. She also noticed that the Kethmori delegation was notably absent. For a species that had supposedly suffered such devastating losses, their lack of representation was curious. Chen gathered her materials slowly, allowing most of the chamber to empty. As she prepared to leave, a small figure approached her. It was Piptal, a ferric diplomat known for his analytical mind and neutral stance. Ambassador Chen, Piptal's whiskers twitched nervously. May I speak candidly? Of course. The evidence against humanity is compelling. But something troubles me about this situation. The Vorthak have been pushing for military action against several species lately. They claim the galaxy has grown soft, that stronger leadership is needed. Chen nodded, encouraging him to continue. I've studied the technical specifications of your ships. The weapons described in these attacks are far beyond anything in your public files. Either humanity has made remarkable technological leaps in secret, or Piptal's large eyes darted around the empty chamber. Or someone wants the Council to believe humanity is responsible. The question is, why? Chen extended her hand in the human gesture of friendship. Thank you for your honesty, Counselor Piptal. I hope the truth will become clear very soon. As she walked toward the exit, Chen's mind was already working. The evidence was indeed compelling, perhaps too compelling. Someone had gone to great lengths to implicate humanity in these attacks. The question was whether they could prove their innocence before the Council voted to take action against Earth. The stakes couldn't be higher. If found guilty, humanity would face expulsion from the Council at best, complete annihilation at worst. But Chen had faith in her species' greatest strength. Their ability to adapt and overcome seemingly impossible odds. The human embassy on Proxima Station buzzed with activity as Chen's team worked through the night. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Brooks hunched over a holographic display, her fingers dancing across quantum keyboards as she analyzed the sensor data from the destroyed colonies. It's definitely our ship's signatures, she said, exhaustion clear in her voice. But look at these energy readings. Chen leaned over Brooks' shoulder. The data streams showed weapon discharges far beyond anything in Earth's arsenal. Their most powerful ship-mounted plasma cannons registered at 2.3 terawatts. The weapons used against the Kethmori colonies had peaked at over 47 terawatts. Someone's been busy, muttered Doctor. Marcus Chen, the ambassador's brother and the team's chief scientist. These energy signatures suggest technology at least 2 centuries ahead of ours. Or, Brooks said slowly, technology that's been deliberately designed to look like advanced human weapons. Ambassador Chen studied the data for a long moment. What about the ship movements? Zektar mentioned unusual acceleration patterns. Brooks pulled up another display. This is where it gets really interesting. The attack ships showed acceleration curves that would generate over 200 G-forces. No human could survive that, even with our best inertial dampeners. But other species could. The Vorthak, definitely. Their internal structure is much more robust. The Shrike Confederacy has those biomechanical implants that let them handle extreme G-forces. Even some of the silicon-based species wouldn't be affected. Dr. Chen looked up from his own workstation. I've been running analysis on the debris patterns. Someone wanted to make sure we'd find human components in the wreckage. Too sure? Look at this. He projected images of the twisted metal fragments. These hull pieces are definitely from human ships. But notice the distribution pattern. They're scattered in a perfect radius around each impact crater. That's not how debris naturally disperses from an explosion. Planted evidence, Chen concluded. Exactly. Someone collected pieces from destroyed human vessels and distributed them at the attack sites. Brooks frowned. But where would they get human ship components? We've only lost one vessel in the past year. The mining ship, Prosperity. It suffered engine failure near the asteroid belt and broke apart. The wreckage was never fully recovered, Dr. Chen added. Salvage teams only retrieved about 60% of the hull. Ambassador Chen felt pieces clicking into place. Pull up the manifest for the Prosperity. What was it carrying? Brooks' fingers flew across her interface. Standard deep space mining equipment, refined metals from the Jupiter system, and... She paused. Experimental weapon prototypes, 3 next-generation plasma cannons, and a prototype fusion torpedo launcher. The room fell silent. The missing pieces from the Prosperity could easily account for the human technology found at the attack sites. We need to contact Earth Command immediately, Chen said. But first, I want to know more about these Vorthak accusations. Something doesn't add up. She activated her personal communicator and sent a coded message to Captain Rodriguez aboard the UES Defiant, currently patrolling the outer system. Within minutes, his weathered face appeared in the holographic display. Ambassador, we received your priority message. What's the situation? Captain, I need you to investigate something quietly. The missing wreckage from the Prosperity. Is there any chance it could have been salvaged by non-human vessels? Rodriguez nodded grimly. We've been tracking some unusual sensor ghosts in that sector. Ships that don't match any known configurations. Command assumed they were sensor malfunctions, but now, can you investigate without alerting the other Council species? Give me 12 hours. The Defiant can reach the Prosperity's last known position and conduct a full sensor sweep. As the connection closed, Dr. Chen looked up from his workstation again. Sister, there's something else. I've been analyzing the timeline of the attacks. The first colony was destroyed exactly 3 days after the Vorthak delegation requested an emergency council session to discuss growing security threats. They requested the session before the attacks happened. The official records show the request came after, but I've been digging through the communication logs. The original timestamp was altered. Brooks joined them, her face pale. I found something too. The survivor testimonies that Zektar presented. They were recorded using Vorthak translation matrices, not the standard council protocols. Which means, the survivors never spoke to neutral council investigators. They were interviewed exclusively by Vorthak officials. Chen felt a chill run down her spine. The implications were staggering. If the Vorthak had orchestrated these attacks and framed humanity, it meant they were willing to commit genocide to achieve their political goals. There's more, Brooks continued. I've been studying Vorthak military doctrine. They've been advocating for a more aggressive stance against what they call emerging threats for the past 2 years. Several species have been targeted for preventive action, including us, especially us. Humanity's rapid technological development has them worried. They see us as a potential rival in 50 to 100 years. Dr. Chen pulled up a galactic map. The destroyed Kethmori colonies were all in this sector. Notice anything? Chen studied the positions. All 3 colonies formed a rough triangle around a seemingly empty region of space. What's in the middle? According to public records, nothing. But I've been cross-referencing with deep space sensor data. There are artificial structures in that region. Large ones. Brooks enhanced the display, revealing faint energy signatures in the supposedly empty space. Those look like shipyards. Big ones. The Vorthak have been building a secret fleet, Chen realized. They needed the Kethmori colonies removed because the miners would have eventually detected the construction. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. But Chen knew they needed proof that would convince the Galactic Council. The Vorthak were respected members, with significant political influence. Accusations against them would require overwhelming evidence. Her communicator chimed with an incoming message from Captain Rodriguez. His face was grim when he appeared on the display. "Ambassador, you're not going to like this. We found the Prosperity's missing wreckage. It's been salvaged. All right. We detected Vorthak energy signatures all over the debris field. Any sign of who took it? Better than that. We caught them in the act. A Vorthak salvage ship is still in the area, collecting the last pieces. They haven't detected us yet." Chen made a quick decision. "Captain, I need you to capture that ship and its crew. Use any means necessary, but I need living witnesses." "Understood. What about the council session? We have 8 hours before the vote. That should be enough time to present our evidence." As Rodriguez signed off, "Doctor," Chen looked concerned. "Sister, even with this evidence, will the council believe us? The Vorthak have been members for over 3 centuries. We've been here less than 2 years. They'll believe us," Chen said with quiet confidence, "because we're going to do something the Vorthak don't expect, which is..." Chen smiled for the first time since the accusations began. "We're going to let them continue their plan, and when they reveal their true intentions, the entire council will witness it." Brooks looked confused. "How do you know they'll reveal their intentions?" "Because," Chen said, studying the tactical displays, "the Vorthak suffer from the same weakness as many superior military forces. They underestimate their enemies. They think we're primitive and desperate. They expect us to panic, to lash out emotionally. But we're not going to do that? Oh, we're going to retaliate," Chen said, her smile turning cold. "But not the way they expect. Humanity's greatest weapon has never been our technology or our physical strength. It's our ability to adapt, to think creatively under pressure, and to turn our enemies' strengths against them." She activated the embassy's main communication array. "Get me Earth Command. Priority Alpha. I need to speak with Admiral Thompson immediately." As the connection established, Chen began outlining a plan that would either save humanity's place in the galactic community or lead to their complete destruction. But she had faith in her species' greatest advantage. When cornered, humans didn't just fight back. They found ways to win that their enemies never saw coming. The Vorthak had made one critical error in their elaborate frame job. They had forgotten that humans were survivors, and survivors always found a way to turn the tables on their oppressors. The next few hours would determine whether humanity would be expelled from the stars or take their place as a force to be respected throughout the galaxy. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with tension as delegates filed in for the final session. Ambassador Chen sat calmly in her designated seat, a small data pad resting on the table before her. Around the vast chamber, 847 species waited to vote on humanity's fate. High Counselor Vithmar's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with formal authority as she called the session to order. We convened to hear humanity's response to the charges presented yesterday, followed by a formal vote on sanctions. Zektar rose from the Vorthak delegation, his massive form radiating confidence. Before we hear from the accused, I wish to present additional evidence that has come to light. Chen's expression didn't change, but inwardly, she smiled. Everything was proceeding exactly as expected. Last night, Zektar announced, Vorthok patrol vessels detected human ships moving toward our border regions. It appears humanity is preparing for aggressive action against loyal council members. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Several delegates stood in alarm. The idea that humans might launch preemptive strikes against other species sent waves of fear through the assembly. Furthermore, Zektar continued, we have intercepted human military communications discussing Project Retribution and showing the galaxy humanity's true power. The evidence is clear. Earth seeks to dominate through fear and violence. High Counselor Vithmar's patterns shifted to deep red, indicating grave concern. Ambassador Chen, how do you respond to these new accusations? Chen stood slowly, her movements deliberate and calm. High Counselor, fellow delegates, I thank you for this opportunity to address the charges against my people. She activated her datapad, and holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber. The images showed the wreckage of the Prosperity, time-stamped sensor data, and communication logs. Yesterday, we were accused of destroying 3 Keth Mori colonies. The evidence seemed compelling. Human ship signatures, human technology found in the debris, even witness testimony placing our vessels at the attack sites. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Many delegates nodded, remembering the damning evidence presented the day before. However, Chen continued, there was one question that troubled us. How could our primitive weapons cause such devastating destruction? How could our ships accelerate at rates that would kill our own crews? The answer is simple. They couldn't. Quote, she gestured to the holographic displays. The human technology found at the attack sites came from the mining vessel Prosperity, which suffered catastrophic engine failure 8 weeks ago. The wreckage was salvaged, not by us, but by Vorthak vessels. A shocked silence fell over the chamber. Zektar's 6 arms tensed, but he remained standing. We have sensor logs proving this, Chen continued. The main display shifted to show Captain Rodriguez aboard the UES Defiant. Behind him, several Vorthak officers stood in restraints. Captain Rodriguez, please report your findings. Rodriguez nodded grimly. 4 hours ago, we captured a Vorthak salvage vessel completing collection operations at the Prosperity debris field. Under interrogation, the crew confessed to orders from Vorthak High Command to gather human technology for strategic purposes. The chamber erupted in shocked voices and angry chittering. Zektar's composure finally cracked. Lies. These humans have obviously coerced false confessions. Perhaps, Chen said calmly. But we have more than confessions. The display changed again, showing the supposedly empty region of space between the destroyed colonies. Now, however, the view was crystal clear. Massive shipyards hung in the void, their construction bays filled with warships of unprecedented size. The real reason the Keth Mori colonies were destroyed, Chen announced, was to eliminate witnesses to this illegal military buildup. The Vorthak have been constructing a secret armada in violation of council treaties limiting military expansion. The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Delegates from dozens of species stood, demanding explanations. The Vorthak had been building enough firepower to threaten half the galaxy. Zektar's voice rose to a roar. Even if this were true, humanity still threatens galactic stability. They must be contained before they develop into a real threat. And there it is, Chen said quietly, but her voice carried throughout the chamber. The Vorthak fear humanity's potential, so they orchestrated this elaborate frame job to have us eliminated. High Counselor Vithmar's patterns flashed urgent purple. Ambassador Chen, you've provided compelling counter-evidence. However, the question remains. How do we verify these claims? Chen smiled. High Counselor, I'm glad you asked. Because the Vorthak have just provided the perfect demonstration. She activated her communicator. Captain Rodriguez, implement protocol. 7. With pleasure, Ambassador. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in red as automated systems announced, station security breach. Multiple unknown vessels detected approaching Proxima Station. The main display shifted to external views, showing dozens of Vorthak warships decloaking around the station. They were massive vessels, clearly built using the secret shipyards, and they were powering weapons. What is the meaning of this? High Counselor Vithmar demanded. Zektar's expression had turned cold and calculating. The meaning, High Counselor, is that this charade has gone on long enough. The Vorthak Empire has determined that the current council leadership is weak and ineffective. We are assuming control for the greater good of the galaxy. Gasps of horror echoed through the chamber as delegates realized they were witnessing a coup attempt. The Vorthak hadn't just framed humanity. They had been planning to seize control of the entire Galactic Council. You see, Zektar continued, his massive form now radiating menace. We used humanity as a convenient excuse to justify our actions. A primitive species committing atrocities required strong leadership to prevent future incidents. Now that leadership will be provided by those capable of making hard decisions. Chen stood calmly amidst the chaos. Captain Rodriguez, are you recording this? Every word, Ambassador. Broadcasting on all council frequencies. Excellent. Now, please show our Vorthak friends why they shouldn't underestimate humanity. The display shifted again, this time showing space around Earth's solar system. What had appeared empty moments before suddenly came alive with activity. Hundreds of ships decloaked simultaneously, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor plating and weapon arrays that dwarfed even the Vorthak vessels. Impossible. Zektar breathed. Chen's smile turned predatory. You made several errors in your intelligence gathering. First, you assumed our public fleet represented our full capabilities. Second, you believed we would panic when accused. Third, you thought we couldn't adapt quickly enough to counter your strategy. The human fleet began moving with precision that spoke of months of preparation. Ships that had been disguised as asteroids, hidden in planetary shadows, and cloaked behind sensor barriers, revealed themselves throughout human space. For the past 18 months, Chen continued, humanity has been preparing for exactly this scenario. We knew some species would view us as a threat. We prepared accordingly. 1. The Vorthak warships around Proxima Station suddenly found themselves surrounded. Human vessels had been positioned throughout the system, waiting for exactly this moment. The weapons you attributed to us in the colony attacks? Chen said. We didn't have them then. We do now. Advanced plasma cannons, gravitic torpedoes, and defensive systems that make our ships nearly indestructible. Zektar looked around desperately. His grand coup was falling apart. The secret fleet he had spent years building was outnumbered and outgunned by ships that shouldn't exist. How? He demanded. Because, Chen said, when humanity joined this council, we didn't just bring our current technology, we brought our greatest asset, our ability to learn, adapt, and innovate faster than any other species in the galaxy. Every piece of technology we encountered here, we studied, improved, and integrated into our own systems. The chamber watched in stunned silence as human ships demonstrated capabilities that exceeded every known technology in the Council database. Weapons that could punch through any armor, shields that could absorb impossible amounts of damage, and engines that allowed for maneuvers no other species could survive. The real irony, Chen continued, is that you were right to fear humanity. Not because we're aggressive or violent, but because we're adaptive. You gave us 18 months in a galaxy full of advanced technology. Did you really think we would waste that opportunity? High Counselor Vithmar found her voice. What are humanity's intentions? Do you seek to replace Vorthak dominance with your own? Chen shook her head. We seek only what we've always sought, peaceful coexistence and mutual prosperity. But we will not tolerate species who use genocide as a political tool. She looked directly at Zektar. The Vorthak Empire has a choice. Stand down your forces. Submit to council justice for the murder of 30 million Keth Mori, and return to peaceful cooperation, or face the consequences of threatening innocent lives. Zektar's resistance crumbled as reports flooded in from his fleet commanders. Every Vorthak ship was locked onto by multiple human vessels. His secret shipyards were surrounded by human battle groups that had appeared from nowhere. His grand plan for galactic domination had become a trap. We surrender, he said quietly. The chamber erupted in relief and amazement. Delegates who had been prepared to vote for humanity's expulsion were now witnessing the newest council member single-handedly preventing a galactic coup. High Counselor Vithmar's patterns shifted to brilliant gold, indicating profound respect. Ambassador Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank humanity for its service. Your actions today have preserved our democratic institutions and saved countless lives. Chen bowed respectfully. High Counselor, humanity is honored to serve the cause of peace. But let this be a lesson to all who would threaten innocent lives. Earth's retaliation may be savage, but it is also precise. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. As Vorthak officers were led away in restraints, and their fleet surrendered to Council security forces, delegates throughout the chamber began to understand the true implications of what had occurred. Humanity hadn't just defended themselves against false accusations. They had revealed themselves as the galaxy's newest superpower. But more importantly, they had shown that Earth's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their military might. It was their unwavering commitment to justice and their ability to turn any situation to their advantage through careful planning and superior strategy. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.